Oh, you didn't like the logo I switched?
No. Transparent. That's something
You
we
can't
should have talked
see
about
it.
before we went live.
Can't even see it, bro.
I don't care. We don't need to see it. It doesn't need to
Bro.
be seen. I don't want a white ball above my head.
You
Just
live on
stop.
air.
Stop. Just stop.
And already off the rails.
There we go. It doesn't take us long, even as hard as we try.
Oh.
We can't
What
do
did I
it.
sign up for?
I don't know. God help you, Steve. 'Cause
Oh,
I can already tell this isn't going to be good today.
Hey.
Hey, but breaking. Before we start, I just got to put this out there. Last night on TikTok, I got friended by Wood Mustache.
woohoo! Wait, I didn't get a friend request.
I didn't stay long.
He has an account now
He does?
with that same logo on it that's on his shirt.
I must be an imposter. It must be an imposter.
So go follow the Wooden Mustache on TikTok, please, so that he can go live with his camera.
Maybe.
Everybody, go and follow the Wooden Mustache.
Same. It's the same. Yeah, I gotta get some content out there.
I just thought I'd say that. But anyhow, y'all ready?
Yeah. Let's go.
Matt, you okay today, bud? You're worrying me. You're not saying much.
It's cold in Georgia. He's frozen.
Oh, I like the cold.
Oh, is it snowing?
So
It's
here.
cold.
No, it's in the
well,
20s, though.
we probably need to get started with the show, huh?
Yeah.
Is there anybody in there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Go.
okay. Let's
Push
go.
the button.
Here we go. Welcome to Creative Makers Podcast, episode 131. I'm Joey with Steel Blade Woodworks, joined by our host, Matt with Wacky Works, Mustachio with the Wooden Mustache, Steve I with Steve I Designs, and today we got our number one best friend sponsor, Tyler with Forge 3D, again, showing his beautiful face to educate us. How's it going, everyone?
Howdy.
Hello,
I
everybody.
would
Steve,
like
I did it,
to.
Steve. I did it. Oh, I messed it up now. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Oh, wait. I would like to give a shout out because Creative Maker Podcast is made possible by all of our patrons. So thanks to them, and I'm going to call out a few of our patrons, starting with Mike Holmes from Broken Lead Woodworks, Greg Bennett from Windy Acres Works, and Rob DeMarco from Rob DeMarco 063. Them and all of our other awesome people out there, we thank them incredibly for their support.
All right, so let's kick things off and find out what we all have in the works today. Tyler, why don't you let us know what you got going on?
A little this, little that. I got the new what's the new brushless Grabo in to do some testing, and of course it's a different profile and different silhouette than both the DeWalt and the original ProLifter 20. So get to add some SKUs to the old product catalog.
Awesome.
Which will be interesting. It's just a hair bigger than the ProLifter, but like a hair smaller than the DeWalt. So yeah, that'll be a new design challenge. Have to get into some CAD software and some CAM software, which I think we're gonna touch on in a little bit. Doing a lot. I mentioned this on the live on Friday night, but we've launched a new knowledge base on the website to try to help customers find information easier, either prospective customers or existing customers. So we're building out that with a bunch of content and hopefully be able to get some video content up here in the not too distant future for that, to do some video walkthroughs, because we keep getting asked for that information. So that's what we've got going on. And of course, production, getting all the production caught up as fast as we can, get it out to people. And that's about it for us in the shop this week. And I think, Wackerly, what do you got going on in the shop this week?
I got some carving I was doing with the CNC, getting some forms ready to pour some countertops. What else did I get going up? Oh, walk my forest this week and kind of looking at some trees I'm going to be down and getting ready for some bandsaw mill setting. I want to set up some trees to get ready for the bandsaw mill to be able to get them start drying out and stuff. So I was looking at that, how to manage my forest and clean out the underbrush and get rid of all the stuff that don't need to be there. Got some orders out this week, but that's about it. It was kind of a slow week. I don't like it that way. So what about you there, Joey? What you got going on this week?
I was working on the wall in the shop. I got that. Well, I got it finished, insulated. Now I'm going to go ahead and I wasn't going to do the panel where the sub panel is, but I just started framing it today. I'm going to just go ahead and get all that done, get it out of the way. And as we were talking last night, we were looking at rearranging the whole shop. I don't know why I put myself into this, but we'll see. I don't know why. And Matt, of course, I have not learned to not mention stuff like that, because that Wacky Works, he rearranged it on software, and I don't know. We'll see.
It's a lot easier to do. It's a lot easier to do in software than
My
IRL.
back don't hurt doing that way. My back don't hurt at all doing it that way.
And then I get a wild hair, and I'm like, well, if I'm going to move this, I might as well move that big dust collector. And I'm like, why do I do this to myself? So I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know that I'm going to finish that corner, and then I'll assess the situation at the time and go from there. But yeah, the big portion of it's done. I've maxed out on the height I can go. I'd like to go a little higher, but there's no way of actually doing it with what I have. And I can't get anything in the shop really. I could, but I
Not invited.
just gonna leave it at that. So that's about what I got going on. Getting that done. How about you, Mr. Mustachio? Right back in the nick of time there, buddy.
Oh yeah, the door swung open and the cat was like, "Hey." Let's see. I'm losing track what I said on Friday. But
Just say it again.
Just say it again. Be all right.
I got the miter saw dust hood upgrade from Shop Nation. I got that mounted. I haven't done extensive testing on it, but the few cuts and stuff that I did with some plywood, and I had some thick oak that I cut through. That was impressive. I'm really happy with that. I was talked out of putting carbon method on my cast iron last night because it was very, very late, and we all know what happens when you're a little tired and you try to do stuff that requires specific instructions to be followed. So I didn't do that, but I took the I've probably done like 4 or 5 passes on the joiner with some 600 grit, and it's about as good as it's going to be. So I'll get some carbon method on that, and I'm going to run my power for the 220 line over there. I got all the got the wire came, and I got the box and everything. So I'm ready to go. It's just a matter of me getting my act together. So I don't think I really have anything else. What's about you, Steve? What's your shop update?
So I feel like I haven't been super productive, but I've been working in the shop all week, cleaning things up, trying to reorganize, purging stuff that no longer needed or useful. I haven't had a chance to go through everything yet, but my miter station drawers, all 30 of them, are quickly filling up. So while I feel as though I haven't really had a major accomplishment in the shop this week, that's really what I've been working on. And the next thing I've been thinking about, I've been thinking about a couple of designs that I might do for the top of the miter station, and also my drill press. I'm thinking about making a table for the drill press with some drawers underneath it, and also some storage underneath the whole thing under the platform. So I got a couple of those rolling around in my mind, and I'm still trying to decide what I'm planning on doing for the Make What You Fear project. I got two things that I'm going back and forth with. I've got a kit guitar that I've been saving, and I think I might try that, or I've got a sharpening station based off the Lee Nielsen design that I'm thinking about maybe making. I don't know. Haven't figured out which one, but that's really what I got going on in the shop this week. But tonight, for tonight's main topic, we're going to try and tackle the topic that every maker eventually has strong opinions about, and that is design software. See what I did there? I got a couple design projects. We're going to roll it into design software. But
I would just like to point out something real quick.
Yeah.
This gentleman has a box of boxes.
Yes, I have multiple boxes of boxes. Well, so I don't want to throw those out.
He is so organized that he has boxes of boxes.
So
it's amazing.
What's wrong with that?
It is, but I don't want to
they're all empty.
Those out. They're all empty because they're all behind me. I don't want to throw those out because those are all the Lee Nielsen boxes. And if I have decided to sell any of this, it gets a higher price with the original boxes.
Come on.
I know. I'm not going to be. I just need to come to grips that I'm never selling any of this, and it's just going to the grave with me. So you're right. I should just get rid of the boxes.
Put a brick in the boxes. Send it to Joey. He'll think he has something.
There you go.
Don't do that, Steve.
It'll be just like the pound of screws and everything that you sent Mustache with the planer.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
There was a little more work involved to get those screws to their current point.
A configuration of duct tape and maybe some super glue. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Oh, actually, there's the weight. There's the weight, Steve. I'll send you. I'll bring you that pound of screws.
Don't you dare send me those screws back.
Yes.
There would have to be a video of the packaging and the unwrapping.
I'm going to tell you,
don't the leaves next year.
Don't.
Yes.
Don't start a war.
I'm not starting anything.
I might.
All right, let's roll this back. Okay. So tonight's topic: design software. So what we're going to chat about here tonight, and basically from completely free tools to full-blown professional platforms, the maker world is kind of overflowing with some options, from CAD to CAM to all-in-one solutions to subscriptions, one-time licenses, iPad apps, browser-based, and none of them are perfect. But tonight we're going to talk at a very high level and hopefully give you some honest feedback about our experiences and what we think of some of those products. We're going to hopefully chat a little bit from beginner to pro stuff, things like Tinkercad, Easel, Carbon Create, SketchUp, Shaper 3D, Vectric, Carveco, Lightburn, Fusion 360. So this is not meant to be any sort of tutorial or definitive, this is a winner and you should only be using this. That's not what this is. But one of our patrons had asked us to cover this topic, and they're not very familiar with any of these tools, and they wanted us to kind of touch on what they're good for, what they're bad for, what our thoughts are, and maybe with upcoming projects, how these might fit into your processes and your builds. So why don't we get right into it? So I guess we might want to start with some of the free versions like Tinkercad. Has anybody got any thoughts on Tinkercad? Has anyone used it for any of their projects? Any pluses, minuses, pros, cons?
I've tried it once. I think Mr. Prusa there pushed me onto it at one point. It was tough because I really didn't know how to use it. I've tried it. I still have it. I mean, that's really all I can say. What I'm used to using is very generic and very easy. And I know I need to move on to something that's more powerful. And I've gotten away from using what I use, which is a program by Microsoft, and it's called 3D Build. But I was looking for something a little more powerful to, like, basically what Tyler uses. What everybody's trying seems like to go to is Fusion. Tinkercad, if I'm thinking of the right one, it's got a lot of tools in there. But again, like all of them, you can get the free version, but if you want to get everything, it's going to cost you. And not that's the decision, because there's so many out there. It's which one do you go with? And when it comes to that, I still haven't figured out which is the one that I want to pay for, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because this, I don't want to get into the whole thing of like everything else, but it's like on that 3D design, I'm still, like I said, I can still build what I want with it, but it has its limitations. But I have to make that commitment of time to try to figure out how to use that other stuff. So that's all I have to say about that. I've used it very little and I got frustrated with it. Excuse me, and I put it aside.
So when I first started with the whole 3D printing and design stuff, I did download it and I did try it out. And I agree. It's like some of the folks in the chat have said, it's a great starting point, and it has a low bar to enter, and it's not that complicated to get up and running. But I think a lot of folks in the maker community are going to quickly hit the limits on what it can and can't do, as far as once you get into the design features and exporting stuff and moving projects around to various different, programs, right? Other programs that you need to use for more of the CAM stuff. But, that's my only experience with it. Anyone else have anything? And by all means, if anyone's got any questions or comments, throw them in the chat.
Yep. I haven't used that program at all. I know a few people in the community use it, but nothing for me.
Well, I think with going item by item, I think the real question is, when you start choosing your design software, what's the what are you trying to do? Because the big thing, there's a giant difference between, say, for what Fusion can do or Tinkercad can do or FreeCAD or Onshape versus something with Vectric or Carbide Create or Carveco. What's the real goal or end goal of your project or your learning curve? Because even if you choose what would be the, I guess, one of the two higher end solutions available in the space, be it Fusion 360 or Onshape, for example, those are terrible solutions for something if you're doing flat 2D carvings and those types of things with a CNC or doing something with a laser. So I think you shouldn't you know, the design software, whatever you choose, is just a tool at the end of the day, and it's making sure you're selecting the correct tool for the correct application. Everything's a hammer, but at the end of the day, making sure whatever you're choosing is for your application and it's going to get the job done the easiest way for you in your shop. So I think the real key element is if you're not doing 3D modeling for 3D printing or real CAM applications, you may not need Fusion or Onshape, and don't feel like you should be pushed that way with something you see on the YouTubes, where SketchUp may work for you, or where Vectric or even something as simple as Carbide Create works for you. I think that's the real key is don't get pushed into it as a maker because you have. Now, if it tickles your fancy, if it gives you the chord of I feel really good about learning a new thing and it's really interesting to you and it opens up other avenues for you, I think that's great. But I think with anything, when you're choosing, is I think Tinkercad's a good starting point. FreeCAD's a good starting point. Shaper, Shaper 3D, if you're just want to do something on an iPad or something like that, is a great starting point, and then you can really start building your base up. And again, depends what lane you're in. I think it's the big element that you have to keep in mind no matter what you're doing.
There's a question there. Are you guys aware of 3D printing and CNC regulations that are currently on a bill? I'm not.
I'm not.
No.
Maybe
so there's something in Michigan that's talking about not allowing something to actually be built in a printer. I know that they're talking about that would not allow a firearm or something to be printed basically built into the printer. So wouldn't keep you from designing one, but the printer software or the printer firmware would reduce the ability to have that printed for a functional print. I think that's the only thing that I'm aware of currently in discussions, but nothing else that I know of.
Mr. Prusa backed that up. He said printing gun parts.
I agree with that same thing.
Mr. Dave Gatton, he said he uses a subscription from Design Spark Mechanical for all his 3D modeling. I haven't heard of that one.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I have not either. Yeah,
and it's like Steve said in the opening, that it is a giant field of software that's available, and that's why I said, if we examine every single one of them out there, you'd be here for 2 days. I think the real key element on any design software is picking what fits you and what you need, but also fits where you're trying to get to, because there is design software out there that can't get easily out to a CAM software. And I think that transition from easily being able to get from CAD to CAM, if I'm doing CNC work, or if I'm exporting it out to go into a laser or need a Gerbil file or something like that, I think all of that is really critical, that you have a path to get from what you have in your head to what you get to the digital to what you get back out to the physical again. I think that's really critical, because I think Matt's been playing with some stuff recently and having issues getting standard code out into the CNC world, and if those hiccups, if those barriers or hurdles hit you in the face, you're less likely to want to continue to keep learning or continue to try to use the software, or if you make that bad choice, it's deflating. I chose the wrong thing. I don't want to make the wrong choice again.
Right. And I think that's an important point, is that choice. Some of us tend to overanalyze which software we want to use. And I know when I started out, like I said, I first tried Tinkercad after I tried SketchUp. And I quickly realized that SketchUp really isn't an awesome tool for building 3D models to then export out and print in my 3D printer. So that's where I transitioned over to Tinkercad, and I tried it out. It was a little bit not exactly what I was looking for. And then I was looking at the field and I'm like, well, should I download the free version of Fusion 360? And I looked at it and I'm like, you know what? This is just like way too involved and advanced for what I'm trying to do right now. And I kind of equate it to trying to learn Photoshop or Illustrator from Adobe. Great products for what they do, but do I need full-blown version of Fusion 360 to do this basic little thing? And it was just way too complicated for what I wanted at that time. And I'm not there yet either for that. What I ended up settling on was Shaper 3D. And I settled on Shaper 3D because that was the only version or design software that I could find at the time that had not only a Microsoft Windows version, but also an Apple Mac version. And they had an iPad app, which Tyler to this day still thinks I'm crazy because the little adapter that I designed that he sells now for me, I designed on my iPad.
Oh,
And
Lord.
it was actually fairly intuitive for me to learn and do that. And I was kind of an early adopter for some of that Shaper 3D software because at the time they still didn't have the parametric modeling piece yet. That was still in the works. They've since launched that, but it fit everything that I was doing fairly well. And I still use Shaper 3D for a majority of all my 3D printing design stuff. Now, personally myself, my hope is that this year in 26, I'm going to start getting to a point where I can design some electric guitars and start carving those out on the CNC. So I'm at that tipping point myself where I'm starting to investigate, is it time for me to move into something like Fusion 360 or a different version of Fusion? Or is there something else out there? Because for the CNC, I have Vectric Pro, which I can import 3D models into and I can carve them, but I cannot design 3D models within that software. If I wanted to do that, I would have to upgrade to the Aspire version, which this is the conversation I'm having and I'm thinking about this year is, do I upgrade to Aspire and try and do it in Aspire, or do I just move my design software over to Fusion 360 and stay with my Vectric Pro and design everything in Fusion and just import that model into Vectric Pro and carve everything? Because I don't think it's that elaborate, and I don't know that Aspire is, if I'm personally going to need to upgrade to that level of CAM, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not planning on doing stuff on a rotary, so I don't necessarily need that piece of Aspire. So I don't know.
But that's
So
just
you
one
can
piece of
design
the
and
slide.
Aspire, right?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
You can
Yes.
design. Now, can you
design
export
3D modeling?
So you can export for your 3D printer off of there, right?
I don't know that.
Will it do STL?
That's a great question. I believe it will do STL, but I don't know of anyone who's ever designed in Aspire and exported for use in a 3D printer.
Matt,
Does
don't you have Aspire?
Mm-mm.
I thought you had
No.
Aspire.
No. Scott with Willow Creek does.
He said
Scott,
yes, it will.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'll
Scott
export
says yes,
STL.
it will.
Yeah.
So
right there. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So I'm just listening to all of y'all, and what I hear is, and this is just my thought process on it, is the ease of use is what the program is. Because if you don't have the ease of use, you need to spend time to understand it and learn it and figure it all out, so it becomes easier to use. So I started out doing the whole video content thing, and I bought the Adobe Premium and this, that, and the other, and it does all this stuff, and you can fly through windows, and I couldn't figure anything out. I couldn't even figure out how to get a video into the thing. And then somebody showed me a cheap, easy software, and boom, I could spit videos out real quick, and it had little cut buttons and scissors and stuff. And I was like, oh, I got this easy. It's user friendly. So that's what I look for. And I couldn't figure out back in the day. I could not figure out SketchUp. So that's the software I like to use. until I found people like Drew Short, and I found people like Jay Bates was a little too fast for me to keep up with, but like Drew Short would slowly explain it, and it was something I could understand, I could keep up with, and it made sense to me. And I looked at some of the Fusion 360, and the guy was talking in a monotone voice, and it just wanted to start nodding. And I'm like, where are we at again? So it's if I could find somebody in there that could do videos that I could stay awake to and I could understand and I could figure out what he's doing and it made sense to me, I probably would stay with learning 360. But there's so much stuff in 360.
Yeah, there is.
It's learning. There's a big learning curve there.
There's a giant learn. There's a giant. I mean, and even for somebody that's in it pretty consistently with me, I just barely scratch the surface of what it'll do. Because I don't. There's only certain things that you need at certain times, and trying to learn everything of it is never going to be something that you can do all at once. You really do, like anything, you're going to slice the knowledge up and learn it. Because if I learn how to do something today that I'm not going to use repetitively, for 6 months, I've learned something. I've not really learned anything. I've seen it, I've heard it, I might have done a demo on it, and then it's gone. Because you're not, it's a perishable skill, just like sawing, right, Steve?
Yeah.
It's
too soon?
No, not at all.
So what we've done a lot of times. So like what I did with SketchUp is I went to the Fusion, and I tried, and I went back to SketchUp, and I kept on designing in SketchUp, and then I learned there's a workarounds for me to get STL files out of SketchUp so that I could do my 3D design software. And I
think SketchUp is a great tool. So my progression came from like Autodesk R14, doing flat 2D design for civil engineering applications, and then moving into SketchUp because it was a free tool or easily accessible tool for you doing cabinets or doing 3D visualization. But for like the full design of what I needed to do for Forge 3D, it didn't fit that model. But at the same time, if I was doing something like a carving on a CNC, I'm not going into Fusion to do that. I'll do something as simple as going in, Carbide Create or, Milmage, assuming that it's out of beta. I think it's release candidate now. Something simpler and easier to use or to work with that's better in the 2D, 2.5D space than Fusion to have to do all the CAM and all the CAD, or all the CAD and all the CAM inside of Fusion, than I would do in something much simpler with other tooling. But I think the real power with something as you get more advanced, such as Fusion or Onshape, and I think even like FreeCAD and maybe Shaper. I think what you mentioned, Steve, is parametric modeling. Where you can put constraints and different you can put different parameters in, and so if you constrain your sketch correctly and you put your measurements in correctly into your parameters, then as you're doing testing and fitment and iterations, then you're not having to redraw everything every single time. You can go in and change small tolerances if Mustachio's doing his Milwaukee router thing and he's testing fitment and he's got to go in there and he makes an adjustment and now I've got to redraw the whole thing because everything kind of falls apart. I think that's a really powerful tool that can be exceedingly frustrating to get right, but when you do, it does make the design process or the iteration process as you get to a finished product a very easy thing to do once you learn how to do it. But again, for me, I need that as I'm iterating or perfecting a product, because it's got to be, I've got to be able to produce it. I got to be able to adjust it. I got to be able to do things with it. For somebody that just needs to get this one thing, this one time, what's the easiest way to get from point A, to point B and not have to worry about all these iterations and all these things. But I think if you're using parametric modeling, If you pick a tool that can do that, it really does open your eyes up so that you can just tweak and not have to redesign everything every single time. I think that's a really powerful thing to look at too.
Oh yeah.
I want to go
Yeah.
back to something that Matt said, intuitive software. So I think that's really important, and everybody is different. And what works for some does not work for others. You know, I started out with SketchUp, and I felt as though SketchUp was not very intuitive for a beginner who'd never done anything with design software. And it took me a while to understand it and get somewhat proficient with it. I don't know if I'll ever be proficient with it, but I'm, I struggle along and I constantly go back and look things up, but I don't use it as much as I probably should. Anyways, my point is when I got my CNC, it came with a 3 years worth of Carveco Maker, which is a fabulous program and it's a great program. And my understanding is it's probably one of the top ones if you were doing 3D relief carving, signs, and rotary type stuff. It's amazing. But for me, I could not wrap my head around it. I felt as though it was not an intuitive product. The way the menus were, how to find things, how to do things. I was extremely frustrated with it for the first month and a half. And I finally stepped back and I talked to these guys and some other folks that I know that have CNCs. And everybody kept telling me, just switch over to Vectric, just switch over to Vectric. And someone pointed me to Kyle Ely's Learn Your CNC master program. And I just bit the bullet. I got that pro subscription and I signed up for his class, and it's all online. And the training was awesome. And there's so much training out there. And I think someone in the comments was trying to find some training for what they're using, Rhino CAD. And that's another big thing. If the training isn't out there and you're trying to learn something, it's near impossible for you to learn it and be proficient, and it's going to be frustrating. So whatever you choose, whether it's Carveco or Vectric or Fusion 3D, Shaper 3D, Fusion 360, just make sure that you're going to be able to find that training and you have folks out there that you can lean on to kind of help, because it's really great when everybody else is using the same product and you can ask really silly questions and they look at you like, oh, well, you should just do this basic thing and it'll make your whole life easier. And it's great.
I mean, I was gonna mention that, Steve. Like, look at what people in the community are using. Because we have a lot of resources on the different social platforms and stuff, and I'm willing to help people out with light burn questions or whatever kind of 3D printing, SketchUp questions, like anything that I can help someone with. Like I'm willing to teach them. And,
yeah, and I've used Mustache a lot for like light burn. And heck, we bounced back and forth on SketchUp stuff a lot.
How do I do this arc? And the follow me. You showed me the follow me tool, and I was like my brain literally exploded. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been doing lines all around this circle this whole time.
Well, and I used to follow Jay Bates. Jay Bates did a whole SketchUp thing, and I could not keep up. Jay Bates is, I can listen to him and I can understand it, but it's like click in this, and I'm like, if I was a computer programmer, dude, and had all my fingers at work, that would be awesome, but I couldn't keep up with him. He was great at teaching, but I couldn't keep it. It was so fast. And I had to pause it and go, okay, what did he say again? But with Drew Short, it was like, it clicked. What he said clicked. So sometimes it's not the class, it's the who's teaching it, how they're saying it. because you can say
April-
the same thing, but you say it differently, and it makes sense and it clicks. And so, like Drew said, but he was designing a table, and he's like, and you're putting an arc in this leg. Now, if you want to do it on this side, you need to rotate it, and you're gonna flip it horizontally. And here's this button where you can click and flip horizontally, and it'll put it on this side. Now, any changes that you made to it are going to be evenly changed. Where if you clicked it this way, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've been sitting there changing and making each one of them independent of, and then I had to make this change and this, and I'm taking me 4 times as long.
Yeah.
Just simple stuff like that was it's sometimes it's how it's said. They're saying the same thing. It's just they're saying it slightly different.
Yep.
And it makes
I watched April Wilkerson's like crash course on SketchUp way 10 plus years ago or something, whenever she put it out, and I was like, okay, this is decent. I mean, like I had a bunch of friends in college that were architects and stuff, and they were, doing tons of like AutoCAD and stuff like that, and it was just like, whoa, I'd watch my buddy like modeling something. I'm like, I'm gonna just code computers. And full circle.
So for Mr. Fitzsimmons, what he's doing, a program that he would probably need to look into would be Vectrix, because he's doing a bunch of 2D, right, cabinetry. I mean, if that's the route that you're going to take, I mean,
if you're doing cabinetry, I'd probably go like Mosaic or something even more specialized than what we're discussing here, because they're going to have again, it all depends, because like something like Mosaic has uppers, lowers, all these things already programmed into it, so you can spit things out really quickly. So it really depends on what the end goal of the or what your target is.
Well, let's take entry level, like we're saying. Well, not much entry level, but costs. Mosaic is going to be a little higher price, right?
I don't know. I don't think it's too terribly bad if on the lower end compared to something even like Onshape. Onshape's crazy priced.
Well, is it monthly subscription, or like Vectrix is a one-time buy? I don't know on Mosaic. I thought it was a subscription base.
I believe it is a subscription base, and I believe it's monthly, and I think that there's a couple different levels of Mosaic. So there's I'm going to say, I know this isn't correct, but there's basic design stuff, and then there's absolutely another level if you're going to use it for your CAM, if you're going to have it control your CNC. That's a whole nother level of licensing that is vastly more expensive. And
of course,
I do know that Jeff does have a Mosaic subscription.
Okay.
He does use it for his cabinet design. But I think in general, his question was all the other things that he might want to do, and he's starting to get into.
And he's trying to basically see if there's a one-stop shop, I'm assuming, right? Something that, I mean, in a way, because I'm assuming he's aiming this toward a CNC, but maybe if I do get this, can I also do this? What's out there? Is that what that was aimed to on that question? I mean,
I'm not 100% sure on that. I think it was more of a general, I might want to do some 3D printing. What should I use? What's out there? I might want to do some CNC. What else is other people using? If I want to just, design a floor plan, what are other people using, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you get to that, I mean, you're talking a scope of a lot of different things. And another key consideration we haven't touched on yet is also what operating system platform, what computer platform that you work on. Yeah, because if you're in a PC space, the world is really your oyster. You have a really full feed. You have a lot of different things available to you versus if you're on Mac. And if you're a Mac user, your field narrows pretty consistently unless you're using something that's more cloud based, like like Onshape or something along those lines.
Easel or something like that.
Easel, right? Yeah. So I think that narrows your space as well. So I think you have to think about it of what level or what bar you're going to have to cross. I think that's the interesting thing about, say, something like, for me, Fusion 360 is cross-platform. Something like MillMage, which would be cross-platform, to me would be a very, it's going to be comparable to Lightburn if they can ever get it out to, actually out of RC or beta. So it should have a relatively low learning curve. It won't have heavy design in it, but it should allow you to do a lot of different things. I think, Mr. Bruce has said, the same way I would think about things as Fusion, for 3D printing or mechanical applications, parametric modeling applications, and then something like, something VCarve, MillMage, something like that, that's going to be, for engraving, some type of CNC flat 2.5D work, would be that. And then if you're trying to lay out a house or lay out a kitchen, Mosaic does the modeling maybe or the drop in place and visualization for cabinets. But if I'm trying to lay out the floor plan, I'd probably go to SketchUp. And so, really having to know a lot of different things, unless you're a very specialized person in a very specialized field doing one thing all the time.
I think that's been a big frustration with all of us, because I know we've hit on this over the years. It's like, we got to learn another program, and I don't want to learn another program. But the reality is that you got to learn another program. There is not a one-stop shop for everything, and if you're specializing in one, like let's just say cabinets, then maybe you can get away with that. But when you're wanting to do multiple words today, man, I swear they're hard. Like lasering, 3D printing. Yeah, it's not coming off the tongue just right. That's where we run into the problem, and we're having to look at different programs to use, and that gets costly though too, because they're not cheap depending on what you go with.
And I think you could do so. I think SketchUp's a good catch-all for a lot of stuff. If you're going to stay things at a, I wouldn't say it's 30,000 foot view, but even getting, down into pretty details, I think you could do a lot of things with, SketchUp relatively well for a lot of applications. Fusion 360, you could do a whole lot of stuff with Fusion 360. It's just not going to be the most efficient. But if I'm just trying to hobby shop it, and I had the free version of Fusion, you could do a lot of stuff with that. I mean, you could do layout, you could do cabinets, you could do, even 3D modeling. It's not going to be the best solution for that. And you're going to have, if I was trying to get CAM out for, for an engraving, it would be a pain, but you could do it. I just think it's how you're wanting to slice it. If you're wanting to be ultra efficient because you're in production mode, then I think you're going to have specialized application software to be as efficient as you possibly could be. But if you're talking about a weekend warrior, or I'm just a hobby guy, doing some things, I think you could get a long way with a program, but I don't think you're going to be ultra efficient, taking care of it with a program.
I will say one. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say, going back to cross-platform stuff, that is the important thing, right? If you're in the Microsoft Windows world, pretty much you can use just about everything. But for cross-platform stuff, what is there? I know for a fact that Fusion is, and I also know that Shaper 3D is, because that's why I chose Shaper 3D, because it was not as expensive as Fusion and it was cross-platform.
SketchUp
Are those
is
the only two? SketchUp is.
SketchUp is. Onshape is, because it's cloud-based, but it's crazy expensive if you don't want to do their public free option.
Lightburn,
MillMage, those are cross-platform. If you're, not really. This is more a little CAD, more. I won't say CAD, more design or CAM, like Xtool, platform stuff. If you're in that world, is going to be cross-platform. Carbide Create is cross-platform. I think Easel is. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I believe it is. Yes.
Carveco's not, Vectric's not, Aspire's not. You could force some of this not being really cross-platform, but use the same machine by doing boot camp and some other things. But that gets
or you end up buying another machine
for it. which you may have to do anyway, because if you're
You
depending
may.
on what your CNC is, you may have to have a Windows-based machine to drive your CNC if you don't have an onboard controller or something like that. So I think, you know, all those things kind of play into your thinking pattern of how you're going to use it. But it does complicate things. Trust me, as somebody that used to be a heavy Windows user and moving over to Mac a few years ago to get some of the other benefits, and then running right up against, you know, narrowing. It also helps because it does narrow your selection choice down considerably, where there's not, you know, paralysis by analysis. Is like, that's what I'm going with because that's what you got. But yeah, I'd be interested to see.
I'm gonna need a PC for the shop when I get the CNC going.
Mini PC.
If you're going to go with Vectric.
Yeah.
No more
Well,
Mac
I mean,
boys. No more
well, I
Mac
mean, like
boy.
Steve and I were talking last week, and you know, I was kind of spitballing what to get, and you know, I was trying to be cheap, and you know, we kind of landed on Vectric. I mean, solely for the people out there that are using it, in addition to like some of the people that I talk with on a more regular basis and stuff. And like, you know, we've all been on a call one night, and you know, oh, I'm having this problem, and you know, if you're using the same software, like there's a huge benefit with leaning on someone else that might have run into that problem before, you know, and that can assist you with your issue.
Yeah, that goes
Speaking-
right back to the access, right? And the training. Just
Mhm.
having all of your friends using the same product and having the access to training is really key.
And
Yeah.
hopefully at some point for the Creative Makers podcast
College?
college, we're gonna try to get Mr. Forge 3D in there at some point and give us a little overview on Fusion at some point whenever he has some time. We would love to have that in our catalog. I mean, I do want to get into Fusion, and I think like a bunch of us has talked before privately, we just got to make that move and just go to it, you know, because I am limited to what I can do. And I know I've tried some things that I've wanted to build, and the software that I use will not do it. It's way past its limitations. There's nothing, you know, and I need to learn something. And I've messed around with other ones, but it's like, you know, if you can get to where that can design, and then you can, you know, maybe with updates that they do, send that off to a CNC, or, you know, that would eliminate the use of another software. You know,
Well, I know that, like, okay, so SketchUp has the paid for version has a feature on it where you can design something and all your components are designed, and then you can click it and it'll automatically lay it out in 4x8 sheets. It'll automatically lay it all out perfect. What's the best way to lay it out for cutting? Well, if you can do that, that's basically moving it almost to 2D. Why couldn't you do? It seems like it's just one more step to put it to 2D, to make it for a cuttable file, to be able to put your G code into it.
I mean, you know, it's the CAD to CAM. You know, because you've got the post process, because you've got the post processor, and that's the thing that a lot of people will, you know, even in Fusion, you know, understanding how you go from, you know, the CAD to do the tool pass, which is the, you know, the CAM, but then that's the output, the post processor that actually gets it into a file that your CNC can actually read. And so I've not played with SketchUp from a CAM perspective. Because then you would really be out of SketchUp. Most likely you're just taking a DXF file that you would have to take into something to get your CAM out of, you know, be that, you know, Vectric or something else that would have that post processor built in that you could carry it over with. Yeah. So there's that there's the tool path and then the G code, Gerbil output, or if you have a particular CNC that requires something else besides a Gerbil controller, then those are the things that you have to have the post processor for to get it out to. And I think Mustachio, you were talking a second ago, everybody's talking about something familiar with, and I think this is, I've said mill mage a couple of times because I'd say the most ubiquitous thing in the maker community is probably Lightburn for what everybody uses, because a lot of laser makers or a lot of laser companies will have software that will be of questionable abilities, but
is it like laser Gerbil or something?
Right. I mean, they'll have
Some
different
of
things,
those.
but they'll have almost all of them will make it Lightburn compatible, because they know that that's the threshold of entry into the maker community, is having a Lightburn compatible machine available. And that to me is the reason that I think mill mage is so interesting to me and to others, because I know enough in Fusion to for 3D printing. I know if I can of course do Fusion for more complex CNC work, even if it's flat files, but I want something that allows me to get into carving and those type of things that's really more woodworking based than the other things that I do. And that's why mill mage is interesting to me, because if you have downloaded and played with it, it looks almost identical to Lightburn as far as the interface elements. How to do toolpaths will be different, of course, but that at least it makes it a easily approachable thing that you can get into. And of course, it's cross-platform for anything that you want to do with it. So that to me is the most interesting thing. And for you, Matt, as you move into or Mustachio, as you move into the CNC world from laser, I think that would be a lower the learning curve for you and for a lot of folks that may be taking that step from their first diode, to a CO2 to a CNC, and having a very natural progression so that you're not having to learn it all the time. We just need them to get it out of RC. It may be out of RC now. It wasn't 2 months ago when I was checking it out last time. So,
okay.
I never looked into that one. I need to look into that one.
And they're good. I mean, the Lightburn folks are great. I mean, they really are great folks. It's a great company. I just wish they'd hurry up. But it's hard. I mean, it's really, really hard. Designing it up from the ground up I think it was probably bigger than what they thought it was going to be.
I mean, for the most part, that's been one of the easiest softwares to learn, to be honest. I mean, I mean, there's so much information out there on it. I mean, you can just search that, and there's bukus of videos, and there's some great makers on the on the different platforms that have all the different little quick, easy tips to do certain things, and it's super simple. I mean, we've had one of them on the podcast before, and they're always putting stuff out on that. And Mustache is real good with it. I mean, he's learned that to where anybody has an issue or has a problem, just go to him.
Louisiana Hobby Guy is a great laser resource on the interwebs. He's got a ton of good information on his website and on his YouTube. I don't know if he has an Insta.
There's what was Stephanie with the Country Porch Swing, I believe. She's been on here. You can find her here on IG. You can find her on TikTok, and she has a crazy amount of tips and tricks with Lightburn. I've always pointed everybody to her. Y'all have mentioned the Louisiana account before. There's a lot of stuff out there, and I like it for lasers. I mean, any laser I've gotten in here that I've used, they're always compatible, like Tyler was saying, which make it super, super easy to get into them and start using them.
Well, and also it helps, for me, if someone has the same program, like they're like, oh, I can't get it, I can't get the device to pair or something, like it. Oh, I've run into that before. All right, disconnect it, restart your computer. Oh, close Lightburn. Now plug the device in. And now open light. Like I've gone through everything with troubleshooting.
Stick your right leg in. Pull your right leg in.
What was the other thing that you had to do?
That's what it's all
What was
about.
that other thing? What was it?
Change the
Me?
offset.
Me?
Yeah. That you didn't want to do?
Oh, flash the firmware.
Mm.
Flash the firmware.
I just want to bring up one other thing, just real quick. So, while a lot of these are can be used for multiple things, I can tell you again, personal experience. I've used SketchUp, and I tend to use SketchUp more for my furniture design, floor plan layouts. I have used Shaper 3D for furniture design and designing cabinets and that sort of stuff. But I always seem to go back to SketchUp simply because it's a little easier to make components and
Mhm.
reuse those components and group things and turn things on and off. It's just a little bit easier, in my opinion, than it is in Shaper 3D. Now, maybe they've improved that feature and the ability to create those components and reuse them. I haven't really been in Shaper 3D a lot in the last few months, but the other thing I think, from my point on design with furniture and shop layout and any sort of floor plan, is their 3D warehouse that that SketchUp has. It's
Yeah.
got just about everything in it, so it makes things a lot easier when you're starting to get going with all this. You don't have to design all these things. You can just
those
import
are-
stuff, and they're all
Yep,
free
those
if you're on the paid subscription.
User
for SketchUp.
contributed files and stuff in there.
Yeah,
you
there's
can-
a huge wealth of that, and that's one of the things, unfortunately, that Shaper 3D does not have. So
Does Shaper 3D, read in like a step file or OBJ file? Because I mean, like that's something that I use quite a bit in in Fusion. Is being able to take a step file in so that you can take another 3D design. So if you're wanting a component part, say from McMaster, this is a great resource from McMaster. Is if I make McMaster and I want a fastener, they're going to have it 99 times out of 100. They're going to have the step file for that fastener or that part or that piece, so that you can actually take that and import it into your design or into your drawing, so you can see it in the virtual world before you have to get it out into the physical world to make sure the fastener that I picked is the right fastener that's going to fit this particular mechanical assembly. But I do love 3D warehouse. I mean, you can download table saws and band saws and all sorts of stuff to bring into shop layout that you couldn't get anywhere else very easily. But if your design software, the software that you're running, is capable of doing a step file, there's 3D warehouse for SketchUp, but there's also a lot of other tools on the internet that will can't remember the one that I use the most, that allow basically downloading a 3D step file for that particular product or that particular part, so that you can then take it and put it in and say visualize it interacting with your own stuff that you're designing.
I know Shaper 3D can export as a step file. I believe it can also import, but I'm not 100% positive on that. But
so that's another thing that you need to learn as well, is not only the programs, but what kind of files that you're using. So whether STL, SVG, like y'all are talking about different, there's a bunch of different files and what they can do.
Yep. Right. Yeah. So like an STL, for example, is what you're going to export out of your design software to take into a 3D printer. And then you can take a STL and you can import it into some CAD programs, but you're importing, a very dirty file. If you're importing an STL file into something even like Fusion, you're going to have a whole hard time, really trying to manipulate or to change that if it's got some complexity to it. Sometimes you can take it and get into a 3D body out of it, a full body, basically what you call a watertight body, so that you could do modifications to it. if you want something that's completely nebulous, take it into Blender. Try to go poke around in something in Blender for a second. That's that you want to talk about the learning curve.
That's like the software I use. I'm able to keep it in a 3MF format to where it keeps the components separate. What I use to make the STL file, right?
Yeah.
And I always have to save that 3MF file in case once I do the prototype print, if it doesn't just fit right, I can go back to that and manipulate just that one piece, right? If that makes sense. So I've got dual versions. That way I can revert back on all the different components that I made in it so that I don't have to, because once you have that file as one file, it really, to me, it's impossible to redo.
Yeah,
there's nothing you can do. You have to just totally start again. I learned that early on, so that's my
I mean, Wim says you convert the STL before bringing it into the design software. It all depends on the STL. If you can actually get it to convert right into a step file correctly. There's a lot of converters out there that are good and there's bads, and it also depends on the quality of the STL file that you're bringing in. It can be a challenge sometimes. So that's something to always consider. If you can get a step file, if you're trying to trade off files between different platforms, a step file or OBJ is going to be the best because it's going to be an object. It's going to be a constrained body that you can easily work with, no matter what. I have a friend that they do a lot of automotive rack systems and those types of things, and he works in SolidWorks, and so he'll have me do some things for him for prototyping, and he'll send me these giant OBJ files out of SolidWorks, and I usually am like, just slice it, get them as skinny as you can get them. I don't need everything. I just need the section that you want to send me, because then I'm going to have to chop it up to get because it could be a car engine, and we need to model up an interface element just for that one little part. I don't need the whole engine to do that, but some of the files that come in are just stupid big, but it does allow me to bring it in, chop it up, move it around. But there would be no way to do that if you didn't get a really good interchangeable file format like OBJ or Step. And that's a whole world different than, I want to go and get a 2D part out and cut it on a CNC or burn it on a laser.
I just put a
grab cab.
That's
grab cab. Yep,
grab
that's a good.
grabcad.com. If you go to their library, there is a wealth of models out there that you can
trace parts.
You can grab.
Trace parts is also another one that's a really good place to get 3D parts. For step files that you can take into a lot of the software that we've been talking about.
Yeah, that was a great. I think some of the models that I grabbed for my shop when Matt was helping me revamp it and reorganize it. I got some of the models off there.
Yeah, so I think if we wanted to kind of, I won't say put a bow on it, but kind of help folks determine everything that we've talked about, is I think the best thing to do is think about what you're trying to do, what your end goal is, both from a design perspective, but also what you're trying to get it out to at the end of the day, and start from there. And like everybody said, is focus on where you can get help in the community. Don't, it's great to be a trailblazer to get off the path and, I'm going to do something unique. I'm not going to use something everybody else uses.
3 weeks later, you're still working on that part.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't think there's any bad. I don't think there's any bad choices. If it tickles your fancy and that's the way that you learn, great. But I think SketchUp's a great program. I think Fusion's a great program. I think the more woodworking centric Carve, Vetric, VCarve, Aspire, I think they're great. I've not played with CarveCo very much. Just pick what works for you at the end of the day, and if you know people that use it, all the better.
Yeah, and I'll add, just if they have a free version, try that out extensively first, because thankfully CarveCo was free with my CNC purchase for a year, and I quickly learned that it was not working for me. And I'm a pretty tech savvy person, and for whatever reason, my brain just would not wrap around how it was doing things. And there are a ton of people who love CarveGo and use it all the time, but for me, my brain just it was more intuitive with Vectric.
There you go. Well, why don't we put a bow on it? And Mustache, why don't you thank all those wonderful people out there?
Certainly will. So I will call out our top tier patrons in addition to running all the other amazing people on the screen at the bottom here. Or on the top, I think on the mobile version, it's on the top. And I will start off with Don from What's Next Woodworking, Victor from Wind Designs, our host, our special guest, Tyler from Forge 3D, Steve from Steve I Designs, Mike from Lido's Woodshop, and last but not least, Jonathan from John4225. We thank you and all of our patrons for your support. We could not do this without you all. So, from the bottom of our hearts, thank ya so much.
Tyler, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. It's always a pleasure. We appreciate
Always
it.
happy to be here.
Yes.
Always happy to be here.
We're going to use you quite a bit, so get ready.
I'm here.
Have to make that time. But I like to please remember to go give us a review on iTunes, Spotify, all those platforms. On those downloads, we're seeing an improvement, ain't we, Matt? We're seeing some spikes in there, doing real good.
Yep.
We appreciate all that. We appreciate everybody that comes every Sunday and hangs out with us, comments in the comment section, ask questions. And if you have anything, our Patreon members on the Discord, if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss, put that in there. And you can also email us at creativemakerspodcast@gmail.com. And what else, guys? Anything else? We got somebody coming up next week, or do we have somebody coming up next week? I don't know if I don't have the calendar pulled up. Steve?
Next guest I know of is February 15th, and that is going to be Russell Keiselbach.
Ooh, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
That'll be a good one.
If you guys want to talk to somebody who does really amazing furniture that has not, let his sawing skills be perishable,
Never going to live this one down, am I?
No. Russell, great guy. I mean, absolutely great guy. I encourage you guys to put it on your calendars to be there for that one, because Russell is he's a really good guy.
And anyhow, yeah. So stay tuned. Head on over to that supportcmp.com. We appreciate all the support we can get. We got some good things coming up, and that's going to do it, guys. Until next week.